if you can introduce yourself and say how many kids you have, what age they are.
I'm Charlotte. I've got 3 children. Ralph, who's 10, and who's the child that motivated me to come here to discuss this. A daughter who's 8, Nina, and a 3-year-old called Libby.
I'm Judith, and I have a 5-year-old Leah.
My name's Elvia, and I've got 24 children that come to my nursery.
CityKids, and I studied counselling in specifically in trauma, children, and family studies. So just a bit about my background in this. During the last war, during every siren, I was with kids in different capacities. Some I was babysitting, sometimes I was at work at CityKids, and I found that being with kids allowed me to really experience the whole thing differently. It kept me very, very present. And even though I was experiencing whatever I was experiencing, during the actual event, I put that aside and was just with the kids. And so I kind of culminated my experience, my previous knowledge and my experience, and came up with this idea of how we need to be working with kids during times like this. So the first thing that we're going to do is look at what is an experience. When you experience something, there are 3 parts to that. There's your thoughts, your feelings, and your physical experience of it. And these are really different for adults and for children. So when we hear a siren, what do we think? What do you think? What's the
Rockets.
rockets?
It's gonna land on me.
Where are the kids?
Why did I make aliyah? Where is the nearest shelter?
I'm in a film.
Okay, so these are just like a few. I'm sure that there are a million thoughts that go through our heads. What's going on in Gaza? What's the political situation? What does this mean? Am I going to live or die? Is it going to land on me? Is it going to land on me? But our thoughts are just going wild. Now, what are we feeling? What emotions can we name?
Fear. Anxiety. That's what I get on.
Adrenaline. Almost excitement. Just because they suffer an anxiety, that doesn't mean I don't agree with them. I'm going, not excited alone.
There are so many different feelings. Okay.
Drama.
Mm-hmm.
In your body, what is it you're feeling? So I put adrenaline here because that's the chemical reaction that's going on.
Heartbeat. Shaking.
Run, literally run, you run.
Okay, so that all of this together is the experience that we have. And you can see that the thoughts kind of dominate. While you have your physical reaction and you have the emotions that are going on, most of what's working is your mind, kind of putting meaning into it. Now for children, it kind of goes backwards. So we'll start backwards. What do you think they're experiencing? If you can imagine, what do you think your children are experiencing in their bodies when they hear a siren?
Fear. Oh, yeah, sorry. No,
Actually, just put anything out and I'll put it in the category. What might be going
running.
That's really loud. Yeah. Hurrying.
Panic.
Panic.
Now to move over to the others. Fun, game.
Mm.
Just what's going on?
Confusion.
Yeah, confusion.
Yes, yeah. With my daughter, my 8-year-old, I have no idea what she's feeling.
Yeah. My daughter says, "Is it a fire?"
So trying to understand.
Yeah.
Okay. What else do you think they might be experiencing in their body?
Heartbeat, maybe? I don't know. Mm-hmm.
Also exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. So the children, realistically, when they hear a siren, the thing that they're focused on is what's going on in their body. That's our first basic reaction to anything. Then we add the words for what does that mean in terms of what are we feeling. So we feel our heartbeat. We don't even think about the heartbeat. We go straight to we're scared, and then we add the thoughts on top of that. But the kids, especially, as they get older, then the thoughts come in more. But they don't have the words yet often for any of this stuff. So it's just this. And so what is going on in their body is the most important thing to focus on. And that's mindfulness. So first we have to understand it for ourselves, and then we have to be able to somehow help them to process what's going on for themselves. And that's really difficult for us to do because we're caught up with our stuff. So to actually separate what's going on for us in this moment and what's going on for them. Just some of the theory behind trauma. Any event isn't traumatic in and of itself. It's about how we experience it and what meaning we place on it. So if a specific event leaves us feeling out of control and changes our worldview somehow, makes us feel that things around us aren't stable, they're not the way we thought they were, then we are constantly on edge, we're on high alert, and any sound, any trigger can put us back to that event. So in this situation, if a child hears a siren, feels anxiety from everywhere around them, doesn't understand any of it, doesn't feel safe, then they can't understand their world. And this is confusion. And if none of that is resolved, then they continue on with that. And if they hear an ambulance siren, that puts them back, they don't know what they're supposed to do. And that can lead to trauma. However, an event that is traumatic doesn't have to be traumatic. They can still experience what they're experiencing. It might be scary, they might have all of these feelings attached, but if they can somehow feel in control of it all, and like they understand it, and that their feelings are validated, then they'll move on and be okay. It might have still been a hard experience, but they will understand it in the context of their world. So, I've kind of identified 4 steps in helping the child to not be traumatized. The first is to recognize their emotions, their experience. So the experience is the whole, it's the feelings, thoughts, and body sensation. The second step is to accept what that experience is.
Event.
Accepting. That they accept it. Third, safety. And the fourth is control. So these are our aims for ourselves and for our children. We have to go through this for ourselves first, because if you're trying to be present with your child, but you're experiencing all of these things that you're not even able to recognize or understand, then it's just even more confusing. So let's go through each step and talk about how these can actually be applied in this situation. So the first one, recognizing experience. This is done during the event and after the event. So when the siren goes off, talking with your child about what is happening right now. So the whole aim is to come to this, to come back to the body, then you can build on that. So what are you experiencing right now? To say something like, do you hear the siren? That's really loud, isn't it? You can hear that. Is your heart beating fast? Yeah, my heart's beating fast too. And then going through each step with them, you know, you're sitting in the stairwell, maybe to say, is your body feeling tense now? Let's shake it out. Just everything is focused on the body. Breathe in, breathe out. Kind of getting them in touch with that. You can make it into a game if it's appropriate for their age to play head, shoulders, knees and toes, like sing head, shoulders, knees and toes even. It's getting them back to their body. One of the biggest, one of the things that I've heard that happens a lot with kids, especially around like 4 or 5, is that they start bedwetting or wetting their pants during trauma like this. And that can often be that they're just in this and they're out of this. They're so in their heads about it and so confused that they lose touch completely with their body. And so they forget about sensations that they've only just learned, so it's still need to be aware of it. So the job firstly is to just be present with them. And then after the event, to make yourself available for them, to talk through what they might be feeling. That's kind of moving from the body to the feelings. What's your experience like?
I've had 2 bedwettings this week, and I haven't had a bedwetting in years.
Wow.
What a textbook.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you talked to her about it?
I didn't put it together. I just thought she hadn't answered it.
So
She said I was just in a deep sleep and I didn't wake up. That's what she said.
Yeah.
So I said, okay,
Yeah.
it happens.
Yeah. Have you, after the sirens, have you talked to your children at all about what's been going on?
No, all I've said is when we hear the siren, it's a signal for us to get to a safe place. That's it. I don't know what else to say to her.
Yeah. So I think the most important thing with kids is to be open to that, for them to talk, for them to process. Because we have our ideas of what's going on for us. We don't want them to be experiencing that. We don't want them to kind of take on our stuff, so we just won't say anything. But if child will take on everything, and if they don't understand it or they don't feel that they have the space to process it, then it manifests in those ways. So even just saying to your child, there was a siren today, right? What happened? What did you experience?
How did it make you feel?
Not even yet.
No.
You know, start with just,
Okay.
tell me what happened. Did you walk to run out? You know, going through with them because they don't know what they feel yet. If you say, what are you feeling? That's such an overwhelming question for them. Then it adds, you know, they're feeling overwhelmed anyway. So it's just the present, the moment, the physical. Where did you go? Did you run or did you walk? Was your body feeling loose or was it feeling tight? Then maybe, did you feel scared? Or, it's a bit exciting. You know, looking at how they're responding to it and reflecting back what you think they might be saying. They'll correct you if you're wrong. If you say
you wanted to introduce scared. I haven't even wanted to introduce it, but
because we don't want to put it into their mind. But also, if we're feeling scared, to not allow them the space to say that they are. Even you could say, I was kind of scared when I said it, just because it's a really loud noise. You know, take it away from all the meaning that we associate with it. For them, it's a loud noise, and then suddenly they're going from one place to another place, and it's a bit chaotic, maybe. So that's the first thing, recognizing their experience. Their experience is physical, their experience is emotional, their experience is mental. And so to allow them the space, and you know your kids, so you know whether they process something more emotionally or more cognitively. And that's where you can say to them, you know, what were you thinking when that happened? Or if they're not into what they're thinking, what were you feeling when that happened? And that's about age, and it's all subjective, every kid is different, but the basic thing is to be open to allow them to process what's going on without fear that you won't have the answers for them, or that you won't be able to fix it for them. You won't be able to fix it for them, because it is a scary situation. And it's also about us recognizing that we don't need to fix it for them. That we need to show them that they will be able to get through it, but we don't have to get rid of the hard emotions. The second step, acceptance. And that's what we were just talking about, that we don't need to fix it, we don't need to push it away, we don't need to avoid it, they don't need to avoid it. What they're feeling is valid. This is a scary situation. A scary feeling is appropriate for that. If they were feeling, I mean, they might be thinking, oh my God, my parents think that this is just normal, and why am I so stupid that I'm feeling scared by this? Everyone's talking about it like it's nothing, but I'm feeling so scared, there must be something wrong with me. But if parents can be honest and say to their kids, it is a bit scary, what can we do to handle that fear? That would be the next step. But for acceptance, so a lot of it is reflecting back when you're hearing them. Say, it sounds like you're really scared. I can really understand that. What did that feel like in your body? Did you feel your heart beating? Get them to show you what it was. How fast did it go? How tight did your body feel? Did it feel like you were about to explode? You know, kind of engage them in that conversation about what is going on for them. Don't challenge their feelings. So if they say, I was so scared, and you say, well, you didn't need to be so scared. No, hey, yeah, it was really scary. Express that you understand, accept their feelings, give them words for the feelings. So if they're describing something, they don't yet have the words to know that's panic, not just fear. They feel it in their bodies, so it really helps them for you to give a word to it, and then they can go, oh, that's a normal feeling. Other people have that too. I'm not alone in this. Even, you know, if they say, it was kind of cool, we went down there, and you can say, wow, it sounds like it was a bit exciting for you. What did that feel like as well? Like, and were you thinking that it's just a game, and it's, and And not to belittle that as well, not to say, well, it's a really serious situation, you shouldn't be having fun. But just, their experience is their experience. Allow that to be. And always bring it back to the body. So where did you feel that in your body?
Why I want to bring it back to the body?
Because that's where they can relate everything back to. They, that's their first kind of point of reference. And it is for us too, we've lost sight of it. If they can, during it, what they might be most aware of is their body, but they won't know what that means. So they feel their heart beating and it just feels overwhelming for them. So if you can say, that sounds really scared, and you say, is your heart beating really fast? Oh, that's why my heart is beating so fast. You know, you associate it builds the associations. So that they can understand their full experience. And once they can understand it, then it's not so scary. It's like building blocks. First thing that we have is this. But if we don't understand this in the language that we use, then it's just a confusion. So what we're trying to do for them is piece it all together. When, just in normal life, I mean, when a child is throwing a tantrum, probably what they're feeling inside of themselves is just overwhelming. They're feeling all these things and they don't know what they are, and they don't know what to do with them, and they don't know how to express them, and so it comes out in that burst of just uncontrollable there. And so the best thing that we can do for them is to label it. To say, you know, I'm feeling like you're going to explode. And once they feel that they're understood and they're not being fought against, then it can subside. Anything that you don't understand, you want to fight against. It's scary. But if you can just accept it for what it is, then it goes away eventually, or changes, or stays but in a different way. One of the things that I do when a kid's throwing a tantrum is just hold them, and that feeling of containment gives them a sense of security. The next step is safety. So it's about showing them that they can feel safe even if they don't feel safe. What do they feel safe in and what don't they feel safe in? For us, when we think through a rocket's falling, am I safe in this place and I'm not safe here, the feeling of fear in us can come from a feeling that we don't know where we're safe. And the thought about the future of what if I'm driving in my car and a rocket falls and I'm out in the open. But we have procedures, you know that when a siren goes off, you find a safe room. And that's all we have. So that's what we cling to. And we know what's coming, or we don't know what's coming, but we know what we can do when it comes. So for children, it's about showing them where they are safe. And a big part of this is answering their questions. And this is the scariest part for us, I think, that we don't know how to answer. We don't know how much information is too much or not enough, or will they believe us, or will it just scare them more? But for them, the confusion is the lack of safety. If they don't feel stable in that, so for them, their safety comes from us. Their safety, our world is massive, and their world is their parents and their friends, maybe, if they're at that age, their teachers. It's their little community that makes them feel stable. They know their world. So it's to show them that they still have that, even if there are some things that aren't necessarily the same, and that's unstable, there are things that are stable. So, so first talking about what makes them feel safe. Do you feel safe when I'm here? Do you feel safe when I give you a hug? what can make you feel safe at school? Is there a favourite toy that you like to play with? Is there a favourite person you like to sit next to? What are the small things that build up your world and make it a safe place? Reassuring them that you're here, that your family is together, just like always. There are some things that are different right now, but there are lots of things that are the same, and talking, being their partner in it. So not just telling them, you're fine, but allowing them to engage with it. So asking them, what are the things that are different right now? There are lots of things that are different to normal. What are some of them? And then, what are things that are the same? You still go to gun every day. You still go to the park after gun. Whatever it may be. And that's also why it's really important to make sure that the external things go on as usual. That if you have a routine, you stick to the routine. That they can see that there might be this one thing that's really scary right now, but everything else is what they understand. Expressing how you feel. This is a bit of a scary one too, because we don't want to put our stuff onto our kids. And there's a line. If you're feeling something extreme in the moment, the best thing to do is to process that by yourself, not around your kids. Not to just try to ignore it because it's there and you need to process it. If it's there, they're going to feel it. But to say, I'm going to the bathroom for 2 minutes and just like let it out. So that when you're with them, you're really with them. And to say, I feel scared sometimes. But what do I do with that? How do I make myself feel better? How do I calm myself down? When I had that siren, my first thought was, where were you and what were you doing? And I was so worried about you. But I told myself, like, you're fine, and I know that you're a gun and your teachers are great and they're taking care of you. And that helped me. But to be honest. Now, when they ask questions, we'll get to that. The last thing, control. Giving them a sense of control. So we feel a sense of control when we know what we do with something. It's the same as with the safety. We know that we're going to go to the bomb shelter. We know that we're going to stay there for 5 minutes and then come out, and then life will go back to normal. So to even talk through with them what happens when we hear the siren. What are the things that you need to do? You need to stand up, and we walk out the door and we go and stand in the bomb shelter or in the stairwell. Talk with them about, if there's a siren at school tomorrow, what are you going to do while you're in the safe room? What do you do with your teachers while you're there? What would you like to be doing? Maybe you can ask your teacher to do that. What can you be thinking about while you're there? Like, to prepare them so that they can picture it. And then this is when we come back to the body, because that's the one thing that they really have control over, or they can feel control over. When they're in a scary situation, they don't have control over it, and that can make them feel even more out of control. And so that's also why we need to keep coming back to the body, to say, even just your breath. You choose how you breathe in and breathe out. And that's your core. And for kids, that really, really gives them something to hold on to. I'm going to read something, and then we can discuss it more. Yeah. So this was a song that a teacher in the South wrote for her school kids, because she saw that they were becoming traumatized by the sirens. So this is the translation of it. Colour red, hurry, hurry, hurry to a safe area. Hurry, hurry, because now it's a bit dangerous. My heart is beating, boom, 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 boom. My body is shaking, boom, 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 boom. But I am overcoming because I'm a little bit different. falling down, boom, we may stand up now. Our bodies, we shake, 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 shake. Our legs, we loosen, 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 loosen. Breathe in deep, breathe out far. Breathe in deep, we can laugh. It's all gone, and I feel it's over. Yes. So it's exactly, it's focusing on like, what is going on right now? What do we need to do? What are we experiencing in our body? And now we can get through it. And once it's over, then we can release it.
And the video went viral today.
Did it? Wow.
What, for that song?
Yeah.
Because
It's in
they have
English or
actual notes in Hebrew, and there are actions, and it's the kids all singing it.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
It's really amazing. Okay, so have you experienced any of these steps with your kids? Yeah.
Yeah. Certainly the first couple. My son articulates being scared. He says, "I hate the rockets. It's scary." One way that I can see his stress level, that if there is a siren, we have a flat in our building. He is down the stairs within about a second.
Wow.
And even once, sometime in the last time, a year and a half ago, when we heard an ambulance, and it could be a siren, he's like down the stairs.
Yeah.
He's like so fast,
Yeah.
which tells me he's totally on the edge, waiting for it at any point, because he's so fast. And today, when there was a siren, he phoned me after the siren. I mean, he's in a kaitana that is enemy cut. Okay, so I'm not at all worried about him to play table tennis. He said, "Mum, I'm okay. Will you please tell Abba that I'm okay?" I wasn't worried, but obviously he needed to tell me. So okay, sure, I'll tell Abba. And so he's like finding his own solutions almost, without me. But I feel his stress levels are quite high, and my daughter, not interested in talking about it, not many on her.
How does she respond when the siren goes off?
Just kind of gets on, does whatever she needs to do. I actually haven't been with her that often when there's been one, but she sort of has no outward stance. I'm busy focusing on him, but then I'm also thinking non-expression. I mean, it's also, I should maybe be paying attention to her, because he's out there with it, and she's...
Yeah, holding it in maybe.
And the 3-year-old, I'm completely ignoring. Because, what can she possibly understand? Although she was in a play with her babysitter yesterday, and the babysitter said she thought it was part of the play to lie down. Everyone had to lie down. They were outside of the ball, and I don't know if the babysitter. I know I'll be calm, but I don't know if the babysitter will be calm, because that's not a man's feeling as well. Because when you're with them, you can control the environment that they're in, and when they're not with you, you can't. And my little one, half the gun doesn't come to gun, because there's no good cut. Didn't cross my mind not to send her, but half the kids aren't there, which is, I don't know what she makes of that. But like I said, I'm just ignoring her. Which I don't know, at the age of 3.5, I don't know where she's at.
Yeah. So a good idea for if they're not showing any outward signs of distress or anything, just to check in, maybe, and maybe you do that and there's still nothing, and that's fine. Also to respect them. Maybe they are fine, but that's just the first step. Make yourself available, and as long as even just before bed every night, to be like, how was your day today? Is there anything going on that you want to talk about, or tempted to like bring it back to the body again, but if that's not the kind of language that you use with them, then it would sound weird and maybe they wouldn't understand it anyway. But
it might work with
yeah,
them, because talking about feelings doesn't articulate. Shut up, Mum.
yeah, absolutely.
So it might do. I've not tried that.
Yeah, but to maybe just say like, is your body feeling the same as usual or different to usual at the moment? And you should also to respect them if maybe they don't want to talk about it, maybe they don't even know what to say yet, or maybe they're really not feeling anything, or they're just not aware of what they're thinking, the words for it. There are so many reasons that they just might not want to talk about it, and to not push that. That's fine, but for them to know that you're there.
I think my daughter doesn't have the words to describe how she feels, and I have not opened the conversation that much because I haven't wanted to. She's scared of anything. She doesn't like to watch Snow White, for example, because she doesn't like the mean people, the bad people. So I certainly don't want to introduce an idea like there are bad people in the world. I don't want to say that to her. I mean, like she'll say, or which is real. So I really struggled with how much to say. I definitely think that she knows, like the safety, she knows what to do. She knows what to do. Before I left to come here, I said, what are you going to do if you hear a siren tonight? I'm going to put on my shoes and I'm going, she knew. And she wasn't panicked or anything, she just, as a matter of fact. But, I'm reluctant to open the conversation. I'm reluctant to open the door too wide. For example, when we were this morning when the siren went off, and we were with some other people in the hallway, and someone else said, "Oh, listen to the booms. There were 3." I was like held my breath, waiting for her to say 3 what. She didn't say, but I was like.
And probably she's not, because she knows
there's
that all there.
What am I going to say? She says 3 what?
Well, maybe it's worth you being kind of in control of that conversation. So not waiting for her to ask and like holding your breath, but just accepting you need to have that conversation with her. And when it comes to kids asking questions and how we respond, the most important thing to remember is that they understand their world. When we start introducing concepts that they don't understand, they're just going to keep asking more and more and more and more questions because they are trying to relate to it. They're trying to understand it. And the more concepts we bring up, the more confusing it becomes, and becomes like they don't know their world anymore. So I think the best thing to do is to present it in the context of her world. So to sit down with her and say, look, I was wondering, do you understand what's going on? See what she says. Maybe she knows more than you think she knows, but let her say, because you don't know what kind of thoughts are going on here. And some of them could be really, really scary, and some of them, they might be less scary than you think. She might have a handle over it, you don't know. But to let her go. And then, if she's asking you questions, to put it in the context of her world. So one of the things that I thought of, and there are many, many, many options, and you know your kids, so you know their world better than I would imagine to. One thing I was thinking of was, when you're a gun, and you're playing with a toy, and someone else wants the toy, and you fight over the toy. How do your teachers tell you to deal with it? What do you do about it? Sometimes maybe one kid will hit the other kid and take the toy, and then you'll go back and hit them and take the toy back, and it becomes a fight. And then you don't like each other. You're not friends anymore. And then any time they do a little thing, you go and hit them because you're waiting for it. But sometimes someone will take a toy off you and they're your friends, so you'll talk about it and you'll work it out. Maybe you'll take turns, maybe you'll share, maybe you'll play with it together. There's lots of options. But we always choose how we respond to the situation. This is the kind of language we use at CityKids. In Israeli guns, I'm sure they're just encouraging each other. That's too far. But to put it into the world that they can understand. And then if they say, so the rocket's falling, what are they? Or, what is the siren telling us? What's going on when there's a siren? For younger kids, you can say, there's a loud noise, we go to this place. But as they get older, they're going to ask, what does the siren actually mean? And it's hard. And every person has to decide for themselves what they're going to be comfortable, what their child is going to be comfortable hearing, and what you're going to be comfortable saying. And there's a balance between honesty and sensitivity. And you have to just be aware of it. And to some kids you could say, there are rockets and it's going to land outside somewhere. Well, actually, we have another rocket that's going to come and get it. To boys, well, that's to some people who like action. It's a game. There's a rocket that comes over here, and then we have a rocket that blows up and smashes it. But we need to be inside so that we don't get hit by any of the stuff coming down. And that's okay. I think to some kids that would be okay. If you can see that they have a bad reaction to that, then you can say, what is that? Is that scary to hear? What does that make you feel?
It's quite age dependent, because I've totally lost control of what my kids know.
Of course.
Do you know what they know?
Well, no, I'm talking to Raf, and he said, what if Iran attack us at the same time? So which that's not going to happen. That's not altogether. Don't worry about that. Which I just dismissed. But anyway, like I said, I'm not the one setting the agenda. I don't talk about the Iranian threat.
Yeah, I don't can't control what they
I'm
hear.
actually worried about that. I'm also worried that if I say something, that she'll go into the gun and upset the other children. Like, I've been worried about, even if she can handle it, I don't want to. I know that I will get phone calls from other parents if it's my child who's the one yip-yapping about things that other parents haven't wanted to tell their kids, and you can't say it's a secret.
No.
Right. So I've also been
really you have about sex education.
It's
and so that you are balancing between honesty and sensitivity.
Mm-hmm.
You do have to put the education that you want for your child kind of
at the forefront.
First, at the forefront. That's a nice way of putting it. Not to ignore other people, but.
I just keep thinking about this idea of when all of the rainbow flags go up in Tel Aviv, and it's obviously not a violent situation, but everybody chooses how to discuss with their kids exactly what's going on, and every kid comes into the gun having their own explanation about why there's rainbow flags going around, and some families choose to go to the parade, and some choose to, leave the city, and so everybody deals with it in their own way, but I think that that it's important that every child has the opportunity to have the conversation with their own parents, to really be able to say, this is what I already know, and that parents are opening the doors to actually understand what it is that their kids know about. And it's something that we do spend a lot of time reading about, is making sure that we're protecting our kids from the adult world. It's very Waldorf and very wry parenting that children are children and we need to allow them to be children, but we also need to be able to give them the space to experience their emotions in there.
I think it's also not just protecting them from the adult world, but preparing them for the adult world. Like, what do you want the message to be that they come out of this with? Do you want them to think that the world is a scary place that can't be talked about and can't be understood and is out of their comprehension, or that there are things going on that might not always be nice, that this is the reality that we live in, and that there are ways that we can feel okay with that?
You know, I had this onto the control bit because, you know, sometimes through my work I get information that isn't yet in the news.
Yeah.
And so I was telling my son about that, and he wants to know how they know. So I was telling him about the notion of intelligence, and that you can do that when you're in the army instead of fighting. And it's lots of people do it, and you can use your English. And anyway, we have this whole conversation about that, and I think he was really into it. You know, it's about computers and spying and reading, you know, learning, and so it helped me feel like I was helping him. I don't know if it was abuse to him, but you know, so that was a, you know, kind of, I've never discussed what he might do in the army before.
But it gave him something to inspire him.
Yeah.
And to divert his kind of focus, not distract. I mean,
And but it's to do with like feeling of
Yeah,
control.
absolutely.
You know, like what can you do that to do something and to learn more and be clever and be ahead and be technological whizzes and
and that's it actually. It's about giving them the skills to further themselves in life. Like whether it's in that way of like intellectually understanding something and giving them a goal and giving them motivation and something to work towards because it gives them a feeling of safety and control in that situation. Or whether it's just giving them the skills to recognize their emotions and to be able to self-regulate, to know what's going on in their body and to be able to have some sense of control over that. That's a massive skill to give to a child. To recognize that the world can be in chaos and that within yourself you're still fine is the greatest gift, I think, and one that most adults don't have, and we were never taught. It was never a focus. And I think that it's so much a fear of what if they'll ask me something difficult? What if they'll misinterpret what I mean? What if it will make them more scared? We just don't go there. And that is worse, because they feel everything that we're feeling, but if they don't have the words for it, then it's just the unknown.
I mean, I'm also trying to imbue political sensitivities. You know, like it's not all about us. There are other people, you know, that we're in the, conflict. We're having a conversation, and they come around, But it's not everyone in Gaza, Mum. It's just Hamas. You know that. Why don't they just kill the Hamas people? Anyway, so, so.
And that's where it's like age appropriate and individual appropriate. Like,
yeah.
And also like that's up to the parents to express how they want to portray it. Everyone has their own bias, and so we can't say like this is the way that we should talk about the conflict, but to talk about it in a way that they will understand is all. If you talk about it in terms that they can actually relate to, then it's like, oh, I get it. It's just like when I have a fight with this person. And then I was scared of them for ages. And I would stay away from them. And when they came up, maybe there's a bully at school that, scares everyone. And so when they want to take something from them, they scream and then a teacher comes. And that's like the siren. It's a loud noise and then you get protected. There are like so many metaphors that you can use, but it's also about letting them do that, putting it back to them. If they ask, well, why would they hate us? Why would they want to kill us? Say, have you ever hated someone? Really, really angry with someone? And you choose how you respond to that. Everyone has bad thoughts sometimes. We sometimes don't act on them, we sometimes do. whatever spin you want to give on it. Like, you can put in a moral lesson while you're doing it. You can make it about how they behave in life. You know, whatever your moral standards are. But it's also very much about looking at what scares you about it. Really looking at it and saying, if I can handle that, then I can do that with my kid, and I can help them handle it. And we're all here, you know, we're all breathing, we're all just going about our lives. We hear a siren, we go to the bomb shelter, we come out, and we get on with it. We've all learned how to do that somehow. And that's a pretty disturbing and amazing thing. We get disturbed by it because we put the meaning into it. Say, this isn't the way that the world should be. This is the way the world is right now for us. This is our reality. And we just get on with it. And we can teach kids how to do that too. Any questions?
I've never talked about anything physical, so I'm going to try that. Kind of just more stuff to talk about, because sometimes I ask a couple of questions, get a no answer, and then I just throw up.
I tried.
So that's like another angle, which might work.
Yeah. Even I'm just trying to think of ways that you can do that if it's not part of your vocabulary, not part of what they're used to. I'm thinking like even, I don't know, before bed, giving your child a massage and like going through the different body parts and thinking, how does that feel right now? Well, that feels a bit tight. And just talking about muscles, like that's it. Not even relating it to anything, but just bringing them to their body. It, especially with bedwetting stuff, that I think when they're caught in this, they can't think about anything else. And you said earlier, before we started, that your daughter got too down and she sat in silence for an hour.
Yep.
And I can just imagine her being in this.
She definitely is, and she doesn't know the words to express herself. Definitely, and I haven't given her anything because I've been reluctant to plant.
Well, you're dealing with your own head.
Yeah.
Maybe she does have the words,
Maybe
but not the, yeah. But I think in allowing that to be, and then when you bring them back to their body, they can release it all a bit. Then it doesn't have to just be in their heads and figuring out how they can cope. It's a very alone feeling. And for children, the thing that they need most is just to feel supported and held and protected. And that doesn't necessarily mean external protection. It can just be that they know that someone is understanding them. With their experience is not theirs to carry alone.
Thank you.
Thank you.